وقد قال أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله عليه قلوبهم محزونة وشرورهم مأمونة وأجسادهم نحيفة وحاجاتهم خفيفة وأنفسهم عفيفة صبروا أياما قصيرة عاقبتهم راحة طويلة. صدق أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات بيج محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Going back to the khutbah of Nahjul Balagha, khutbah number 193. We were discussing this segment before we went to break. And inshallah we'll continue from where we left off, where in this segment Amir al-Mu'mineen is counting 4 different attributes of those who are known as Muttaqeen. Him being Imam al-Muttaqeen. He wants the followers to be the way he wants he is the Imam of those Muttaqeen, and therefore he's giving us these formulas, or he's given us these criteria that we adopt and we follow, so that we also become or fall in the category of those who are referred to as pious from the perspective of Quran and from the perspective of Ma'asumeen. Imam says, Muttaqeen are the ones, their hearts are grieved, they are protected against evils, their bodies are thin, their needs are scanty, and their souls are chaste. They endured hardship for a while, and in consequence, they secured comfort for a long time. We discussed the concept of Huzn last time around. If you remember, we were discussing it from the various ayat of Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the word Huzn and Khawf on many occasions in different verses of Quran, that the awliya Allah, Allah inna awliya Allah la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun, that the friends of Allah will certainly have nothing to fear, nor will they be grieved. So we went into the detail of what Huzn is, what is this grief, and what is the reason behind this grief. And inshallah we will go ahead and finish that off, and we'll go to the next segment of as far as the attributes of Muttaqeen are concerned. In this sermon, Amir al-Mu'mineen counts Huzn to be one of the attributes of Muttaqeen. That their hearts are mahzoon, that their hearts are always in the form of grievance. It says, قُلُوبُهُمْ مَحْزُونَةً, the hearts are mahzoon. And we see something similar in same hadith. He says, الْمُؤْمِنُ بِشْرُهُ فِي وَجْهِهِ وَحُزْنُهُ فِي قَلْبِهِ. And this is actually giving us a message. Why it says mu'min always has a grin on his face. He's always smiling. As far as the face is concerned, there's always a smile on the face. But if there's any grief stays inside the heart of a mu'min. It does not translate into the face. It does not come onto the face so that it makes other people grieved by that as well. No, you keep the huzn inside the heart, but you keep the smile on your face. And this is where our 6th Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq also mentions. He says, Al-Huznu shi'arul arifin. He says, grief is the sign and the slogan of those who possess ma'arifat, those who are arifin, those who have the proper recognition. Shi'ar is in Arabic, if you look at the root of it, it refers towards that which is touching the skin. Shi'ar is the undergarment in Arabic, which is touching the skin and body directly. Dasar, on the opposite of it, is the upper garment. So shi'ar is the undergarment. When someone says, this is my shi'ar, it means that it is attached with their body. It means it is attached with their skin. And kalam of our 6th Imam also refers towards that. The grief is attached with them. It's inside. It's not on the outside. So whenever you have a grief, whenever you're grieving about something, keep it on the inside. Do not bring it on the outside, so that other people also become mahzoon due to that. At the end, let's recap, and inshallah, just 3 reasons why Imam counts over here that a person feels this grievance, or a person falls into grief. He says some of the examples of worldly grief, which is not permissible. Desire of the world, what Imam says, is something which leads towards the grief. It says, الرغبة في الدنيا تورث الغم والحزن والزهد في الدنيا راحة القلب والبدن. It says a desire of the world results in grievance. Abstention from the world brings serenity of the heart and body. So right away, Imam is saying the first reason why we have this grief is because of the desire of the world. The more we fall prey to the desires and the luxuries of the world, the more huzn and the grief we will have. The less we go after it, the lesser huzn we will have. Second, Imam is mentioning over here, responding positively to the illegal carnal urges also leads us towards what? Leads us towards this grief. It says, Rubba shahwat sa'atin turithu huznan tawila. It says sometimes the temporary shahwat or temporary lust is something which leads towards a longer huzn and longer grievance. So when you respond positively to illegal carnal desires, this is what happens. It leads to grief, which will be lasting, which will be for a long time. And thirdly, keeping an eye on people's belonging is also the third object which brings grief into insan. Imam says, وَمَنْ نَظَرَ إِلَى مَا فِي أَيْدِ النَّاسِ طَالَ هُزْنُهُ وَدَامَ أَسَفُهُ. The one who keeps an eye on the belongings of other people, right away the huzn of this individual will increase. As soon as you see someone has something, right away your huzn will increase, and you're being in the state of remorse and the state of feeling pity for yourself, right away it will increase the huzn inside you. So the three things that Imam is counting over here, let's remember them, that the desire of the world, as it mentioned, the responding positively to the illegal carnal desires, and thirdly, keeping an eye on people's belonging. All three of them result into grief, and grief for a longer period, and therefore this is where we get the formula how to stay away from it. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Second part of this particular segment, Imam discusses after qulubuhum mahzuna, that the hearts of mu'mineen or muttaqeen rather are mahzun. He says washururuhum ma'muna. He said they are protected against evil. People are safe from them as well. Not just that they are protected, but also others are safe from their hands as well. This is the sign of a muttaqi. Muttaqi not only keeps himself to be protected from all the evils that exist, but also other people are safe from the hands of this person. This is in reality, we see that people are safe from their evil. This is in reality non-existent, which means that there's no evil coming out of them from these individuals who are muttaqeen. So everybody is protected from them. And the reason they don't have any evil is because they don't have love for the world. We see, in fact, protection from the evil is not only the attribute of muttaqi, but it's also an attribute of a Muslim. So even at the first level of being a Muslim, and sometimes the word Muslim is also compared with the word muttaqi. Ayat of Quran, for example, if you look in Surah Al Imran, verse number 102, it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. So it is over here, Allah says, O those who believe, fear Allah and do not die until you're in the state of Islam. So you've already achieved taqwa. Now why is it Allah saying do not die until you're in the state of Islam? The Islam should be before taqwa. Here we understand that the love of Islam or Muslim also refers towards muttaqi as well. So we see in different ayah in hadith that even in regards to a Muslim, even if a person sees that I'm not at the level of taqwa, so I don't have to do this. No, even at the level of Muslim, a person has to perform. It says a Muslimu man saliman nasu min yadihi wa lisanihi. Muslim is the one from whom people are protected from his hands as well as from his tongue. Muslim is from the root salama. Therefore, it is an automatic thing in anyone who claims to be a Muslim to that have people being protected from their tongues as well as from their hands. So therefore, right now we can easily count those people out of Islam, those who are not taking care of the rights of others by taking their lives or by harming them, by hurting them. They're actually outside of the realm of Islam. So are people safe from forget about the other people who are outside of this community. Let's just focus on ourselves. Are people protected from us? People were not hurting or harming anyone through our hands, but there were two parts of it. Do not harm anyone with your hand and as well as with your tongue. Sometimes the harm that is done through the tongue is far severe than the harm that is done through the hands. So because, Shair also says the wounds are healed if it's done from the hands or if it's coming from arrows. But the wounds that are caused by the tongue sometimes do not heal at all. So therefore, we look at ourselves, are the fellow Muslim brothers, fellow mu'mineen, those who are among our jama'ah, those who are in our community, are they safe from our evil? Are they safe from our hands and are they safe from our tongues as well? We see that if that was the case, all of us will be just by title Muslims and not by practice Muslims. Why? Because we do not fall under that category. We must understand that we all the time, we dishonor people on daily basis by backbiting them, by slandering them, and so on and so forth. That is also a way of harming another Muslim, harming another individual. We must understand the difference between the ghiba and the tuhma, the two words that are used over here. Former is when we mention an action of someone behind their back, which they will not appreciate. Whereas the latter, or the tuhmat, is that when we associate an action with someone which doesn't even exist in them. So the second one is actually far more severe. The first one is bad as it is. Second one is far more severe because you have done two crimes in order to go ahead and accomplish that. So I'm not going to go into the ghibat point of view because we have discussed ghibat quite a lot, and I think it's redundant if we keep on mentioning it, although it is something which is done so easily that we don't even realize that we have committed such a grave crime. Salawat Diji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So when some Muslims do things which are not according to their name, it means they've only adopted the name of Islam and not the practices of Islam. In old days, there was a discussion of khair and shar, the two discussions of evil and good. That people thought there were two different gods, one who took care of the goods and the one who took care of the bad and the evil, because they did not want to associate the evil that exists in the world to that one God that they believe in. They said, well, we believe in this one God. Yes, if there was this one God, then all the evil that exists is also associated to that God. Therefore, the evil cannot be associated to this God. Therefore, we need to have another God. So the God for good and the God for evil. So all the good actions are connected with this God whom we worship. All the evil actions are also connected with the God whom we sometimes worship and we don't worship. So in other words, everywhere you see security, immunity, peace, and love is from the creator of goods. Everywhere you see witness, animosity, bloodshed, war, and hatred, it is associated with the God who is the evil, creator of the evil. Those who believe in oneness of God and His adalah don't think that way. At least that is what our belief is. We don't think that way. For them, there's only one God, because according to them, there's no such thing as absolute evil. I want to explain this concept in the next 3 or 4 minutes, if I could, with your attentions, undivided attentions, because it's a little bit tricky to understand this concept, that there's no such thing as absolute evil in the universe. Rather, everything is good. And I'll explain that, inshallah. If you don't have time, we will explain that in the following weeks as well. There's no better universal system than the one that is created by the Almighty Allah. And if there wasn't any hypocrisy, polyistic teachings, inappropriate tarbiyat, nothing but good would exist in the world. So this is where we want to derive this point that there's no such thing as absolute evil in the world. Question arises, if there's no such thing as evil, then what is it that we call evil today? That we point out that this is evil, this is evil, this is evil. And where does it stand in the book of Takwiniyat or the Genesis? Where does it stand in that? It says the thing we call evil is itself a non-existent object. It doesn't exist. Why? Or it is usually the prerequisite of a non-existing object. And I'll give you an example so that we can understand that even better. In other words, it's something which if exists itself is a good thing, but only bad when a prerequisite of a bad action. Examples, we believe that ignorance, poverty, and death are bad. Everyone, you'll ask them, even a person who doesn't believe in faith, doesn't have any faith, doesn't have any religion, you ask them, ignorance, poverty, and death are considered to be bad. They're considered to be evil. All of these are, in essence, non-existent. They don't exist. Why? Likewise, we think predators, germs, calamities are all evil. They're all implication of absence of another. Why? Jahl is absence of knowledge. Faqr or poverty is the absence of being wealthy. Death is the absence of life. This bimari or the illness is the absence of being healthy. Nabinai, not being able to see. Being blind is the absence of having a proper eyesight. All of these are absence of their opposites achieved through abandoning the original. Oppression is absence of justice. Arrogance is absence of modesty. And also those animals and insects which are fearful of being bitten. We are fearful that this insect might bite us. So what is the purpose behind this insect living if it's going to go ahead and harm me? call them evil. We go ahead and call them evil. It's not like that. They're not themselves in essence evil. Rather, it's the result of their defense which is bad. Because they have to defend themselves, and that which results in their defense is what becomes evil. Therefore, two things we can derive from it, and I'll try and make it as simple as possible. That evil is non-existent or absence of good, so that we don't require a separate creator for that. Emptiness doesn't require a vessel. It is existence which requires it. So existence which requires a vessel, not emptiness. Second, evil is a relative thing. It's not an absolute. It's nisbi. It's not mutlaq. To understand this concept even more, let's look at a few examples, and inshallah we'll wrap up in a couple of minutes. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Hayat, or the life, is a reality. An object is alive not by comparison to another object, which is alive or dead. White and black, if hypothetically speaking, hypothetically colors are true objects, which they are not. They're only arid. They become arad on other things. They become havi on other things. They themselves are not real object, true objects. Or if we consider them to be real attributes, if an object is white, it is white without comparison to another object. If an object is black, then itself it's black, not by comparison to another thing. For example, if you compare relative objects, when we say a body is small, we are comparing it with something which is bigger. But an object can be small at a time and also be big at the same time. Where are you going to do that if it's small at the same time and also big at the same time? Where do you categorize that? Then evil, it could be evil at one place and it could be good at one place. We look at the example of an apple, for example. Apple is big when compared with grapes. It's comparatively bigger than grapes. But when you compare it with watermelon, it is smaller than that. A legislation, a law, to be good means that it keeps in mind the interest of individuals and the society at the same time. This is why I wanted to draw your attention. A law is good when it's keeping in respect the interest of individuals, human beings, and as well as the society at the same time, while keeping the interest of society above the individual. This is the point. So individual is not bigger than the society. It ensures freedom to individuals to an extent, but it's impossible to satisfy everyone. Now, does that mean law is bad? No, law is not bad. Only relatively speaking, it's bad, but not in actuality. Relatively speaking, it's bad to some individuals, but actuality, it is good for the whole society. These type of matters, which are in essence non-existent, are bad when you compare it with other specific things. And inshallah, there are other examples that I wanted to give in this regard, but I'm running out of my time. We will hold the thought over here, and we'll keep the concept of evil and good, how we are trying to prove that evil is something which is non-existent, and only if it's a prerequisite of another thing, this is where it comes into existence. Otherwise, there's no absolute evil that exists, and we do not require another Lord to go ahead and create the evil. No, there's only one Lord who's the creator of everything. It is you and I who have made different things into evil, or have converted different things into evil. Let us ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to be able to follow the commands of Quran as well as the commands of Masumeen alayhim salatu wassalam. Inna hasan al-hadith wa ablagh al-mu'idha kitabullahi a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ.